Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TMRP, the Metropolis Radio Podcast. And I know I'm coming to you with a brand new format. For the first time, I'm actually recording my screen so you guys can see the articles when I read them myself. So if this goes over well, I might keep this change for a while. So as you can see, what we're going to be talking about today is, now they have come for the Muppets. The Muppets contains offensive material, declares a Disney Plus disclaimer, coming from Deadline, reported on February 21st, 2021. So, as I'm recording this was 3 days ago. When you guys are seeing this will be 4 days ago. So, let's go ahead and dig into this. Once again, it's not easy being green. Disney has slapped a warning label on its streaming release of the children's classic The Muppet Show, warning of quote-unquote offensive content. 5 seasons of the show started streaming on Disney Plus on Friday. Prior to each viewing, a disclaimer warns of the dangers that lay ahead. They should have said lie ahead, but whatever. Alright, here's the quote right here. This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then, and they are wrong now, the disclaimer states. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together, the disclaimer says. And I'm going to hide that bullshit. Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes to reflect the rich diversity of the human experience around the globe, the statement concludes. Okay, why does this even need to exist? And we'll get into that a little later. There's other articles that, give like specific examples. The Muppets was once celebrated for its depictions Native American, Middle Eastern, and Asian people, but there are some moments that haven't survived the change in attitudes since they first aired. For example, country singer Johnny Cash is seen performing in front of a Confederate flag in one episode. Oh no! So what, is Kid Rock next on the fucking chopping block? Actually, he was next on the chopping block quite a few years ago. I like how he told everyone basically, kiss my fucking ass, I'm never taking it down. Continuing on, that former staple of southern country is now verboten, as seen by the recent apology from singer Luke Combs for his past use of it. Oh god. Okay, this isn't the actual apology, but thank God. And obviously, here's all the comments right here. You have to be very, very careful with these comments, because some of these, people like to make like bullshit accusations that can never be proven. And I agree here, people just need to get a life. There's nothing wrong with the Muppets. Looks like their standard issue disclaimer, but for all older content, not that big of a deal. Well, the thing is though, are we gonna get this disclaimer before anything that was made prior to 1990? And even 1990, and even 1990s even pushing it, that may even be way too soon. And here's a great point. If Disney legitimately finds the material so offensive and or potentially harmful, why are they putting it on their platform so they can profit from it? That is a great question, whoever wrote that. And then the reply, by putting it on their platform, making such a disclaimer, they ensure more viewers watch it, and they can take in more money off it. That's all this is for. This is all just for money and nothing more, nothing less. If you honestly think that they give a shit, they really don't. But, this obviously isn't the only article. We'll jump over here to the BBC, the state-run media, ran by the British, titled, The Muppet Show, Disney adds content warning over negative stereotypes. We've already read that, The disclaimer has been added to each of the episodes for different reasons, including one where Johnny Cash sings from the Confederate flag. And then the British try to educate the U.S. about its own history. The Confederacy was the group of southern states that fought to keep slavery during the U.S. Civil War, and the flag is seen as a symbol of racism by many. Okay, this is actually something I actually know a thing or two about. During the U.S. Civil War, and guys, you can look this up for yourselves, the abolitionist movement up in the North was actually a very, very, very small minority when the war first broke out. In fact, the U.S. Civil War did not start because of slavery. Does anybody know why the U.S. Civil War even started to begin with? It started over the issue of states' rights. When it became about slavery, it was after the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, and even then, the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 was not law. Meaning, after the Civil War, if they wanted to go back to slavery, they were more than free to do it. Slavery wasn't actually truly abolished until after the war, and that was the passing of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Again, guys, I don't want to go down this whole rabbit hole. You can look it up yourself, but this is one thing I do actually know a thing or two about. Disney disclaimer added, rather than remove the content, yeah, blah blah blah. We've already read that. The advisory note comes after several months of revisionism around films and TV programs, which could be considered offensive by the standards of today. And they obviously show Lady and the Tramp with the Siamese cats, here we go. Has sparked debate around programs and films ranging from Fawlty Towers. I've never seen Fawlty Towers. I've heard of it. I know it's with, I think it was John Cleese, and Gone with the Wind, to Little Britain and Bo Selectica. I've never heard of Bo Selectica, but here's the funny part. Gone with the Wind, wasn't Hattie McDaniel like the first black woman to ever win an Academy Award for that movie? And now they want that gone? So, yeah, you're not really playing by your own standards here. Okay, here we go. This actually goes a little deeper than the Deadline article did, and this is what I wanted to highlight. The 18 episodes of The Muppet Show with the Warning have been picked out from 5 seasons of Jim Henson's series, which was a big hit in the 1970s and 1980s and starred Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy, yeah. Aside from Cash, other guest hosts of episodes in question include Steve Martin. Why? Other than the fact, the guy plays a fucking banjo and has an arrow go through his head. You know, the old Steve Martin bits from the 70s. You know, why Steve Martin of all people? Cleo Lane, I don't remember Cleo Lane. Spike Milligan, Debbie Harry, and Kenny Rogers. I'm alright. Don't nobody heard about me. According to the LA Times, the warning refers to negative depictions of people from other cultures, including Native Americans and those from the Middle East. Well, wait a minute. If we go back to this Deadline article, where was it? I really wish I fucking highlighted this. Here we go. Right here. The Muppets was once celebrated for its depictions of Native American, Middle Eastern, and Asian people. As you can see, the goalposts have shifted once again. Here we go. The publication also notes that 2 episodes from the final season are left out entirely. One featured Chris Langham, who was a writer on the show and stepped in to host after a celebrity guest pulled out. The actor who went on to star in Armando Iannucci's The Thick of It, I've never heard of that, was sentenced to 10 months in prison in 2007 for downloading indecent videos of children from the internet, aka he downloaded kiddie porn. And we'll come back to this a little later. However, another episode starring guest host Brooke Shields is absent from Disney Plus for a different reason: music rights. Now, okay, this one I will give Disney full credit for. Music rights are a whole other animal. Ha ha ha! Get it? You see what I did there? Music rights are a whole other animal. Animal. Non-Muppets fans are not going to get that. And like they say here, several songs have also had to be edited out of other episodes because of copyright and licensing issues. Yes, because when you refer to music rights, getting music rights for television is a lot different than getting them on home video. And I'll give you guys a perfect example of this, and this was actually Happy Days. If you remember, I think the first 2 or 3 seasons of that show actually did not open with the show tune that everybody knows. You know, the whole Sunday, Monday, happy days, Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. The first 2 or 3 seasons did not open with that. Does anybody remember what it opened with? For those that don't remember, it opened up to the song Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and his Comets. it was a, you know, popular song about from the 50s. You know, a 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. But when they brought it onto, you know, DVD, the first few seasons all opened with the Sunday, Monday, Happy Days. And I know that the show One Tree Hill, very, very popular. I think it was on the CW at the time. And one of the things that made it so popular at the time was like they would have like a new hit song like every week. But then when they brought it over to DVD, they had to edit all those songs out, and people were so pissed. And they were basically just quoting, hey, you know, this is just the nature of music rights. We got it for the television program, but we could not get it for the home video because that's a whole separate deal, and that's a whole lot of money that we don't want to, you know, go down. And continuing on with, you know, the Muppets being so offensive, now we'll jump over to RT real quick, just to because they highlight a tweet that actually sums it up pretty good. And by the way, guys, RT and the BBC are two peas in the same fucking pod. They're both state-run media. One is just controlled by the British. The other one's controlled by the Russians. Other than that, they are no fucking different. But here's the tweet that they highlighted right here. And obviously, you get some gifs regarding the whole situation. But here's the actual tweet. The tweet right here. The Disney Plus content warning screen is a one-edged sword. I think he meant to say double-edged sword, because a sword is already one-edged. I mean, you do have two sides of the sword. You have the dull side, herp-a-derp, and you have the sharp side. I think he meant to say, a two-edged sword, the double-edged sword, but that's neither here nor there. But I'll get back to it. The Disney Plus content warning screen is a one-edged sword, because not only is it functionally pretty useless, yeah, it is, but now I spend whole episodes of The Muppet Show sitting on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what they're copping out of. And that is a very good point. Again, other than getting the adage wrong, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, what was so offensive? You know, why are they trying to ban this? You know, the more and more that you see, you know, not the more and more you see, the more and more a certain group makes certain literature so taboo. You know what those people tend to do? They tend to read the literature anyway. If you remember, back in the 1950s, I don't remember the preacher who actually said this, so you guys are going to have to forgive me. There was a very famous preacher back in the 50s that was decrying, you know, rock and roll is the devil's music. And what happened? All the kids started listening to rock and roll because it would piss off their parents. And that really was it. The more they made rock and roll taboo, the more that they drove people to listening to it, and hence how rock and roll basically exploded in the 1960s and 70s, ultimately hitting its peak in the 80s and then dying out in the 90s because of Kurt fucking Cobain. You know, and but that is a whole different discussion for another day. And here's the funny part. You know, Disney labeling The Muppet Show as offensive content, are they doing this to hide up other things? And I'll give you guys the perfect example right here, in this little image right here. Okay, so what we have here, what you see on screen, is you have the Star Wars Force Awakens poster. You actually have two posters regarding Star Wars Force Awakens. And there's some pretty big differences between the posters, other than one is in English and the other one is in Chinese. I'm going to give you guys a quick second to find out what differences I'm talking about before I tell you. Okay, for those of you that can't spot the difference, you know, here's John Boyega's Finn right here, you know, holding Luke's lightsaber loud and proud. Wait, where's John Boyega? Where's Finn? Oh, that's right. Here's Finn right down here beneath Han Solo. And they moved BB-8, so here BB-8's over here on the English poster, right? He's next to Poe Dameron on the English poster. Poe Dameron's fucking gone on the Chinese, but look how big that they made BB-8 right here. They made it look like BB-8 is about to run over John fucking Boyega. That's just funny, you know, right there. So all of a sudden, okay, your one black character is the smallest character on the Chinese poster. And your most interesting character for the sequel trilogy is right here that you ultimately did nothing with. So keep in mind, guys, Disney, like, oh, we we care about informing people about the racist content, says the same company that kowtows to China every fucking time they tell him to jump. Bob Iger's immediate response to President Xi is, how high? And here's a perfect example right here. This actually comes from October of 2019. Disney CEO refuses to comment on China controversies, fearing harm to company. If you don't think that Disney is not in the back pocket of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, well, here it is. Disney CEO Bob Iger, Robert Iger, it's Bob Iger, refused on Tuesday to speak about the pro-democracy protests roiling Hong Kong because doing so might imperil his business interests. Quote, to take a position that could harm our company in some form would be a big mistake, Iger told the Wall Street Journal's Tech Life conference, explaining why he wouldn't comment on the issue. Iger called it a, quote, damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. He further commented that while he has spoken about political issues in the past when he thought it was in the company's best interests, he did not think that doing so at this time would be a good idea. Disney is set to release Disney Plus, and then obviously the recent standoff between NBA and China. If anybody remembers all of that, yes, and right here, Disney operates a theme park. Whoops, all that highlighted. Okay. Disney operates a theme park in Shanghai and generates billions of dollars in revenue in the Chinese market. Do you think he's going to come out and say anything negative about the Chinese people? In fact, no. In fact, Disney went so far as to thank a certain part of the CCP, the certain part of the Chinese Communist Party in the credits to Mulan. In fact, inciting a response from Congress themselves, right here from this publicly available document. I'm going to state that right here. This document, if you look at the address bar, it is publicly available for anyone to view. So no, I am not doxing the Walt Disney Company. Anyone with a fucking internet connection can look this shit up for themselves. So here's what prompted the letter, if you remember the whole Mulan controversy. If you don't, this goes into it. Dear Mr. Chapek, yes, because Bob Chapek did replace Bob Iger as CEO by the time that this letter was written on September 11th, 2020. That's actually a pretty funny date for a whole other reason. Dear Mr. Chapek, we are writing to inquire about the Walt Disney Company's cooperation with elements of the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region's security and propaganda authorities in the production of Mulan. It's referred to as, I think it's a Shuar. That's how I'm going to fucking pronounce it because I don't fucking care. Disney's apparent cooperation with officials of the People's Republic of China, PRC, who are most responsible for committing atrocities or for covering up those crimes, is profoundly disturbing. The closing credits of Mulan extend thanks to the Turpan Municipal Bureau of Public Security and the Publicity Department of CPC's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region Committee, as well as other local-level Shuar propaganda elements. In October 2019, the U.S. Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security, sorry guys, this is all single-spaced and I do not have the best eyesight, added the Turpan Municipal Bureau of Public Safety to its entity list for, quote, human rights violations and abuses in the implementation of China's campaign of repression, mass arbitrary detention, and high-technology surveillance against Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and other members of Muslim minority groups in the Shuar, end quote. The Shuar Publicity or Propaganda Department, which is an arm of the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, has denied, distorted, and otherwise covered up these crimes against humanity that also include forced labor and a campaign of mass sterilization, forced abortions, and birth suppression against Uyghurs. I don't remember how you pronounce their name. And here's the shit kicker right here. And let's see if I can highlight. Yes. Publicly available information prior to the filming of Mulan showed the existence of mass internment camps for the detention of Uyghurs. By July 1st, 2018, major news outlets in the United States, Australia, United Kingdom, and Hong Kong all had reported that Beijing had interned hundreds of thousands, if not more than 1 million Uyghurs and minorities in the Shuar. The decision to film parts of Mulan in the Shuar in cooperation with local security and propaganda elements offers tacit legitimacy to these perpetrators of crimes that may warrant the designation of genocide. As such, we request the following information, and I'm not going to go into here. Basically, it's like, you know, hey, Disney, tell us how far that this partnership really went. Again, you can access this document yourself if you really, if you wish to access this document yourself. I might leave this, you know, link down in the description down below. But so, you know, you have Disney kowtowing to China, and for those, I actually didn't even realize this, but right over here, right after the election, Bob Iger, Jeffrey Katzenberg in the mix for Biden ambassadorship roles. So apparently there's 2 ambassadorships that are open, one namely to China or the UK. And this sparked quite a bit of quote-unquote controversy at the time. Again, I never read the political stuff on Hollywood Reporter or any of these sites, so, you know, it got past me. And in fact, the Washington Post ran a nice little opinion piece right here. Opinion: Disney's Bob Iger shouldn't be ambassador to China. No Hollywood executive should be. And if this is coming from the Washington Post, they are not really the best publication out right now. But let's actually read into this. Written on December 17, 2020. It's no surprise that Walt Disney Company Executive Chairman Bob Iger's name has come up in conjunction with plum ambassadorial gigs in President-elect Joe Biden's incoming administration. He floated himself as a potential 2020 candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination, and he's a longtime Democratic donor. I forgot that he threw his hat in the ring. You know, I really forgot about that. I kind of wrote him off as kind of like a Steve Forbes type of guy, where he would take like 1 or 2 states because of his money. You know, anybody who gets what I'm referencing, you're awesome. Anyone who doesn't, watch the Dana Carvey show. A role that often translates to a fancy diplomatic posting, but though Iger has experience in China, one of the countries where he reportedly is most interested in serving, it's experience of the wrong kind. The Biden administration shouldn't put Iger or any other entertainment industry bigwig, for that matter, in charge of diplomatic relations with China. Our media moguls have spent years accommodating Xi Jinping, I think is how you pronounce the name, and the Chinese Communist Party. You have the Washington Post admitting this. Tapping one of them for this critical post would send the disastrous message that the U.S. government intends to do the same. And Iger undoubtedly knows the shady world of Chinese politics, having overseen the creation, building, and opening of Walt Disney's theme park in Shanghai. He writes fondly of the process in his memoir-cum leadership book, The Ride of a Lifetime, from the first location scouting trip to China in 1998 to the ribbon-cutting ceremony with communist officials Wang Yang and Han Zheng. Iger was involved throughout. What he learned from the experience should give pause to those who believe he would serve America's interests well in China. The creation of the park, blah, blah, blah. So basically, it's, you have this company that kowtows to China no matter what, trying to tell you that the Muppets are now very problematic. And I did promise you that I would get back to this point. So let's go back to the BBC article real quick. And I'm sorry, guys, I really wish I'd highlighted this. Okay, so I'm going to reread this. The publication also notes that 2 episodes from the final season are left out entirely. One featured Chris Langham, who was a writer on the show and stepped in to host after a celebrity guest pulled. The actor who went on to star in Armando Iannucci's The Thick of It was sentenced to 10 months in prison in 2007 for downloading indecent videos of children from the internet. Basically, he downloaded kiddie porn. So, why is this so significant? Everyone I have seen talk about the whole Muppet situation has never once brought this up. Does anyone know of a filmmaker named Victor Salva? For those that don't know the name Victor Salva, you may have heard of a little movie that he did called Jeepers Creepers. In fact, the first movie was so successful that it spawned 2 sequels. Well, do you want to know a fun fact about Victor Salva? Victor Salva is a registered sex offender. And I promise this is all gonna tie in. This comes directly from Snopes. right? Where, you know, I think this was said right after Jeepers Creepers 3 came out. You know, Jeepers Creepers 3 director Victor Salva was convicted in 1988 of molesting a 12-year-old. And Snopes is confirming this to be true. So all of you censors out there, Snopes right here is confirming this. You know, at the premiere of Jeepers Creepers 3, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because people took to social media at the time. Here we go, right here. Salva was convicted in 1988 on charges related to the sexual molestation of 12-year-old actor Nathan Forrest Winters during the filming of his movie Clown House. Salva served 15 months in prison and finished his parole in 1992. The Associated Press reported at the time. And that's obvious. And this is obviously his rap sheet. Again, this is all public record. I am not doxing the guy. If you are on the registry, this is a publicly available document. I'm not going to go through it because, you know, the guy's a fucking whack job. But right here. But this is why I bring this up. Salva's criminal history was first brought to light before the release of his 1995 movie Powder, when Winters and his friends protested the movie. Winters said that he couldn't believe that Disney would work with a child molester. Notice, right here, Disney would work with a child molester back in 1995. So let's come over right here to IMDb right here. I've actually already pulled this up. Here's the official IMDb page for Powder. You know, an off-the-charts genius who was homeschooled, blah, blah, blah. Written and directed by Victor Salva. Starring Mary Steenburgen, Sean Patrick Flannery, and Lance Henriksen, and Jeff Goldblum. So just those four. I mean, you've got a pretty good talent pool right there. But let's scroll down. Let's scroll all the way down. And the gross doesn't mean anything. What we want to look at is right here, the company credits. So let's go into here. Let's go into see more. So here's production companies. We got Caravan Pictures. Okay, I've never heard of them. Daniel Grodnick Productions. Wait. What's this company right here? What's this third one right here? Hollywood Pictures. Let's come over here. I know this is on Wikipedia, but trust me. Hollywood Pictures Company was an American film production label of the Walt Disney Studios, a business segment of the Walt Disney Company. While then CEO Michael Eisner, yes, Michael Eisner founded this. So you have, you know, Hollywood Pictures producing the movie. And not only that, ladies and gentlemen, Buena Vista Pictures was the distributor for the theatrical release. Now, who's Buena Vista? Buena Vista, if we go over here, Buena Vista Home Entertainment Inc., doing business as Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment, is the home entertainment distribution arm of the Walt Disney Company. The division handles the distribution of Disney's films, television series, and other audiovisual content across several home media formats such as Ultra HD Blu-ray, blah, blah, blah. Right? But whenever you see Buena Vista, here we go, right here. The division adopted the current Walt Disney Studios branding in its public name in 2007, but retained the Buena Vista branding within its legal corporate name. So whenever you see this, whenever you see Buena Vista, this is Disney. So Disney, you're going to take down, you know, an episode that featured, that was hosted by a guy who downloaded kiddie porn over 30 years later, but you're going to produce a movie from a guy that was a known child molester. And let's go into here. And, you know, here you go. Caravan Pictures, the company that made Powder for Disney, also released a statement. We're going right back to the Snopes article. You know, quote, "He paid for his crime. He paid his debt to society," said Roger Birnbaum, whose Caravan Pictures made Powder for Disney, and reportedly didn't know of Salva's record until the film was midway through production. Quote, "What happened 8 years ago has nothing to do with this movie," end quote. I'm pretty sure that if Victor Salva did not disclose that he was a registered sex offender, I think he may have committed a crime. Cause now don't quote me on this, but I think as a registered sex offender, you have to legally notify. I know you have to legally notify your neighbors that you're a registered sex offender. I don't know if you have to notify the people you work with. I have no idea, so please, guys, do not quote me on that. But still, you know, Disney, with how big of a company they were in the 90s, couldn't have done a simple background check on the guy. because it would have came up rather fucking quickly. You know, if he was ever convicted of a crime, which he was, according to, you know, his public record right here. So this is not slander. You know, adjudication date, April 11th, 1988. Sex offense, other state, using a child under 14 in pornography. Under here, adjudication, guilty, convict. April 11th, 1998. Sex offense, other state, lewd or I can't pronounce that word. It's one of those like word salad ones, you know. Lewd or lascivious acts upon a child. Guilty, convict. April 11th, 1998. Sex offense, other state, oral copulation. Guilty, convict. Gender, male, minor, yes. Gender, unknown, minor, yes, whatever. So, Disney at the time couldn't have done a simple background check because something like this would have even come up at the time. So, the point I'm getting at here, guys, is Disney's morals are all over the place. And just to show you the shit kicker, again, we'll go back to here. They are willing to take down an episode of The Muppet Show because some guy downloaded child porn in 2007. Still a very fucked up act. Okay, I'm not defending the guy downloading child porn. But what's this over here? Let's go over to Amazon. Well, wait a minute. Here's the movie Powder from 1995, starring the Mary Steenburgen, Sean Patrick Flanery, and Lance Henriksen. Rent HD, $3.99, or I can buy the HD for $17.99. So, Disney, if you're going to take down an episode because one of the hosts downloaded child porn 30 plus years later, why are you still selling the movie Powder that was written and directed by a known child sex offender at the time? This is not like Victor Salva was, 25 years later he got convicted. He got convicted back in 1988. This came out in 1995. He was a known sex offender at the time, and they're still selling the movie. They're still making a profit off of this. They still want to make money off of this. And you know what, guys? I'm gonna honestly end it off with this because I've been going now for about the usual time on these TMRPs. I don't think anyone, including myself, would have given a damn about the Muppets receiving a content warning had it not been for this little event right here. Mandalorian star Gina Carano fired amid social media controversy. If you remember all that, I did do a video on this the week prior. I will have a link below to that video in the description of whatever platform that you're watching this on. So, yeah, pretty much and I'm going to end it right here, guys. I've had a lot of fun just taking the piss right out of Disney. Basically, again, like I've said, their morals are all over the place. You'll take down an episode from a guy who downloaded child porn, but you'll still sell a movie written and directed by a registered sex offender. That's the Walt Disney Company for you. So, that's going to do it for this week's episode of TMRP, guys. Thanks for tuning in up until this point, and I will see you guys next time.